are focusing on a few other techniques which are very important, crystallization. So I hope all my previous 2 or 3 sittings in practical session was about different steps involved in the synthesis. One of them before going to, because the last step is characterization, I mentioned already. The very first is theoretical aspect. We are looking whether a reaction is doable or not. Second, we are looking, making the calculations, which substrate shall be taken, if how many number of moles we are taking, how many number of moles are equivalents of others, mean reagent and catalyst we are going to use. So these calculations can be done on a piece of paper while sitting at home. You don't need to come to the lab for that. So these are the steps which you can do. And characterization, you don't need to go to the lab, and can be done. So these parts I am picking up that doesn't need a lab. How to do a reaction. So when we are doing practically a reaction and when the reactant is over, this is a third step, doing a reaction in the laboratory in a right sequence and monitoring the reaction with TLC. Next step is quenching a reaction. Next is isolation. Isolation means removing the reagent and unreacted reactant and catalyst removed from the reaction mixture so that we shall have our final product. This is called isolation. So for isolation, these techniques we use. One you have already seen in previous distillation that only applies to such mixture of the reactant if it is products, if it is all of them are existing in liquid state, right? So we can separate them by exploiting their boiling point. But for that, if they are having very high boiling point, so a lot of energy, thermal energy waste. So that's why we carry out vacuum distillation. You have come across, which decreases their boiling point, so they early boil up. Where we need less energy, less effort, easily distillation is done. Sometimes the boiling points are very close, then we take fractional distillation into count. Sometimes the compounds are solid but having low melting point like 50, 60, 70, something like that. These can also be, if it has a boiling point below 100, so we can uh, distill them off, called steam distillation. We pass steam through this mixture of compounds. They must have a boiling melting point less than temperature of steam. Normally this is 105 to 110. So if you are having a solid, having a boiling point 70, 80, 90 around this, or a mixture, so we can very easily purify that with the help of steam distillation. Let's say your reagent has a boiling point, melting point which is more than 150, but your product has a melting point which is less than 80, let's say 70, 75, etc. So these are the temperatures. So if we distill them off, if we pass steam through this, then the compound having low melting point shall melt and it shall come with steam. The other which has a higher than steam, that shall keep settle in that flask. This is another way how solids can be separated by distillation, but there are limitations. So steam distillation can also be taken into account. It all depends case to case. All right. So there is no specific procedure that if we are doing one reaction, all reaction can be purified by distillation. Not at all. All reaction should be separable or purified by crystallization. This is also not applicable. All of them should be separated by means of chromatography or solvent extraction, etc. There is no universal technique which applies to all reactions. You have to see one by one. All right. So sometime maybe if they are mixture of liquids you are getting as products, so you can separate them by distillation. But sometime we are having a solid, so solid can be separated by crystallization. Now there are two possibilities. Maybe the solid we are getting, it crystallizes out or it doesn't crystallize out. Keeping in mind, if anything separates in the form of precipitates. Let's say we are doing a reaction in organic reaction. So when the product is insoluble, hold on.
सर ये सर मतलब 17% निकाला ना सर 2500 का जैसे 2500 ज़रब 17 तकसीम
9597 into
17 divided by 170
1
फिर 117
117।
हाँ जी
अच्छा 100 प्लस 17%।
बिल्कुल ये
एक मिनट इसको मैं एक बार वर्कआउट कर
हाँ
रहा
जी बिल्कुल
8200 कुछ बन रहा था ना इसका। चलो अभी आ जाएगा 9594 into 17 divided by 117 13 तो 9594 minus 1394
पॉइंट के आगे अगर 5 आप
9594 हाँ 8200 आ गया। तो ये हम वर्कआउट कर सकते
हाँ
हैं।
जी बिल्कुल ये इस तरह फार्मूला है
हाँ बस ये फार्मूला पता चल गया ना। अब ये मैं उसमें लगा के फिर कर
जी
ठीक। अच्छा ये आपके एक्सरसाइज
हाँ जी ठीक सर
हाँ ये करा के ना मुझे एक ही जगह ही होने
हाँ जी
मुझे दे दें। All right, so for crystallization, whenever we are doing, keeping in mind, whenever any solid separates, let's say you are doing a reaction, during this reaction, when we work up, precipitates are formed. We separate the precipitates, we filter them off, but maybe it is having one reactant is also, maybe reagent or catalyst is also precipitated. It is also insoluble in that solvent, maybe in water. So if we are having contaminations, keeping in mind that we call very small compound if present as impurity, so we call this impurity, keeping in mind. Mean we are having a pure product contaminated with impurity. This contamination can be removed or must be removed, because whenever we are doing a reaction, our objective is the formation of product 100% pure, shouldn't have any contamination, shouldn't have some reactant is present in that. Because if does have some reactant in next reaction when we are going, it may interfere with that. So we must reaction whatsoever we have performed, our product that is been formed should be 100% pure. And sometime you shall see later, more than one product is formed, more than one isomers are formed. So in that case, we are also supposed to separate them. It is not supposed to be the mixture of both. All right. So if it is formed as a solid, now there are two possibilities. You have studied already in HSSC that whenever it is going to be anything is precipitated or solidifies, all solid exist in two states. Either they exist in crystalline state or they exist in amorphous state. Crystalline is, you are already familiar, Bragg's equation is applicable when solids are arranged in a regular arrangements. So this is called when they are regularly arranged in a regular pattern. That is commonly called a unit cell. So this is called, they are in crystalline state. Like you have seen sodium chloride, table salt, very nice crystals are there. Sugar crystals, you have seen with your seeing. Sugar crystal are organic compounds. Sodium chloride, commonly called table salt, these are basically not having covalent bond, they have ionic bond. They are ionic crystalline compounds. All right. So anyhow, this is something for you to understand that these are called crystalline. They have a regular arrangement of atoms, molecules or ions. So this is called crystal lattice. So those which follow these crystal lattice or have a regular arrangement are called crystals. Some of the solids, they doesn't have a regular arrangement of atoms, molecules or ions. Such are not called crystals, they are called amorphous. So if there is a, for example, if I quote here, ceramics, these are very similar to this. If you look at polymers, rayons, or let's say what we call polyester, cotton fiber, they are all solids, but they doesn't exist in crystalline state. They exist in amorphous state. So this is the difference. Just I have quoted cement. You have come across yourself, calcium carbonate, etc. So they doesn't exist in crystalline state. Rather, they exist in amorphous state. So for crystallization, because here whenever a lattice of crystals is forming, they doesn't let impurity to settle in them. This is the unique feature, that crystalline compounds are in good pure state. Rather amorphous compound, impurity settles down with amorphous components, or you can say entrapped in them when they are solidifying. So they, if we are anything is getting amorphous compound, so they are in fact having a some impurity entrapped. But here we don't have an impurity entrapped in them. So crystallization is believed to be a very good method of good purification technique. But crystallization based upon what? If you are getting a solid precipitates during a chemical reaction, so we can think for crystallization. All right. But what is on what principle crystallization is believed dependent? Let's say boiling point is being exploited in distillation. For distillation, we exploit the boiling point of different liquids on the basis of which we separate them. In crystallization, what we do? In crystallization, we carry out super saturated solution of a compound in a solvent. We prepare its solvent solution. Solvent evaporates, making the concentration of solution higher. Crystal lattice generates when the solubility becomes less. Let's say you are having a, you can experiment it yourself. Just keep adding sugar to water and heat this up. Heat this up. So it shall get solubilized. Let's say you are having, if you have a flask present with you, put it on the stove and keep it heating. Keep water in that, it shall start boiling, or just like having 70-80 degrees Celsius temperature. Keep adding sugar. Sugar shall be adding and dissolving, adding and dissolving, adding and dissolving. What time shall reach when the more sugar shall not be dissolvable? So when it is not dissolvable, just get it filtered. The solution, leave it. You shall get very fine crystals of sugar in the end. So why it is happening? After some time, they shall show you the crystallization, because when the temperature is high, the solubility is increases. Solubility of a compound normally increases by increase in temperature, except gases. It is opposite for gases. When gases are dissolved into a solvent, their solubility increases by decrease in temperature of solution. So when we are increasing the temperature, so its solubility decreases, just like you see the different carbonated waters. Different fizzy drinks that we use have carbon dioxide under pressure in it. So when we chill this, its solubility is maximum. But when it is unchilled, or we increase the temperature due to any reason, so they are having poor solubility in that. So anyhow, so if it is solid and liquid, their solubility increases by increase in temperature. This is universal. All right. So this is something which is important in this case, crystallization. We are exploiting the super saturation of a solution, of a solid. If a solid is going to do, what is a super saturated solution? You could have come across. If we keep adding a solute in a solvent and no more solute adds at high temperature, is called super saturated solution. And when we decrease the temperature, some solid settles down. This is called super saturated solution. Mean at the boiling point or closer to boiling point of a solvent, if we are dissolving a solute, this is called supersaturated solution. And no doubt at that time, some of the solute shall not be soluble. So we filter at hot. We doesn't let it to cool down and then we filter. No, not at all. When it is hot, we filter it. So when we filter this, its temperature decreases. So when temperature decreases, solubility of solute shall also decrease. Because if you remember, by increasing temperature, solubility increases. So when temperature is decreasing, the solubility shall also decrease. And keeping in mind here, there are two terminologies which are used in the industry. One is called quenching, other is called annealing. Whenever we are decreasing the temperature, we are keeping this at room temperature. So gradually the temperature shall decrease, not once. It doesn't mean if it is a very hot flask and we put this on ice. Not at all. This is called quenching. Quenching is not allowed. Quenching shall not let the crystal settle. Crystal lattice shall not be formed. Crystal lattice always formed when there is annealing. Gradually temperature is decreasing. When gradually temperature is decreasing, no doubt solubility is also decreasing. So when solubility decrease, the compound which exists in crystalline state, it starts settling on the bottom of the flask. This is called crystal lattice. You shall find very good crystals in the bottom of the flask. So they are having, normally crystals are having they are having high density than the liquid, so they settled in the bottom of the flask normally, or the walls of the flask, and then we can get them separate from each other after filtration. So this is how we are doing. All right, so solvent is evaporating. Solubility, another factor. When solvent evaporate, so its concentration increases, so solubility shall further decrease. Temperature decrease and evaporation of solvent both favors the crystallization. But which solvent should we use? This is a very important aspect. Not any solvent can be used. So because keeping in mind, we are having two aspects. One is a pure compound final product present with some contamination of reactant, right? So if some contamination is present, we are supposed to remove. This contamination may be a catalyst, this may be a reagent unreacted. How to separate that? This is in very small concentration, maybe 5%, 10%, or less than that. How to remove that is, we are opting crystallization. Crystallization is based upon supersaturation of the solute in a solvent. Appropriate solvent. Now, what is an appropriate solvent for crystallization? This is important to understand. Which solvent should be of our choice? Let's say if our solute and our impurity both are highly soluble in a solvent, mean very small amount of solvent we use and they all dissolve in it, it is not a good solvent for crystallization. So a solvent that we are using shouldn't be dissolving solute and impurity to high extent. It shouldn't be high dissolving. Second, let's say we are dissolving this and a very minute solute amount dissolve in a solvent. This is also not a good solvent. All right. A good solvent is that one in which if we dissolve it, moderate amount of solute dissolve, not very high, not very low, moderate. Moderate amount of solute dissolves at high temperature. And once we decrease the temperature, its solubility decreases and it starts crystallization. This type of solvent is the best solvent. All right. So polar dissolves polar. This is another very important aspect. Non-polar dissolve non-polars. If let's say we are dissolving a compound which is non-polar, then we are going to use hexane as a solvent. All right. and then we add chloroform to this to increase its polarity. Sometimes we use combination solvent. Combination solvent means we add this in which it is more soluble, and then in the end, once it is been super saturated, and then we add a solvent in which its solubility is poor. Let me exemplify this. If a compound is non-polar, we are dissolving that in chloroform. Suppose chloroform is low polar, methanol is very polar. Once it is soluble in chloroform, it makes a clear solution, supersaturated. We add a few drops of methanol to this. Once we add methanol, so the solubility of solvent shall, no, the polarity is increased. So in high polar, low polar is less soluble. So insolubility are of the solute shall facilitate. So this is important, that such solvent should be used which dissolve solute moderately but at high temperature, and at low temperature it has lower solubility. Some of the solvent have high solubility at low temperature and high temperature same. It is not having a big impact. It is also not a good solvent. It is not a good solvent of choice. So most of the time we are using combination solvents. In one solvent it is moderately soluble, and the opposite of that we add in the end. Let's say if we are going to dissolve something in a, let's say just for an example, if we are doing anything, let's say amino acids are soluble in water. So amino acids, if we are taking at high temperature in boiling water, they dissolve very easily. And then when we decrease the temperature, their solubility definitely decreases. But how further we can decrease the solubility in water? We add methanol to this. Once we add methanol to this, what shall happen? The dielectric constant of solvent gradient shall decrease, because methanol is when added, it is having a dielectric constant less than water. Water has 70 plus, methanol has 32 something, almost half of that. So when we are adding methanol small amount, so what shall happen? The solvent polarity shall decrease. Once the polarity decreases, the solubility of the solute in that solvent shall also decrease. Second, evaporation of solvent shall be facilitated, because when water evaporates, it has boiling point 100. But once water and methanol is mixed, so methanol is boiling point is 70 something, 74, 73. Water is 100, so it forms an azeotropic mixture. So they evaporates, they have a boiling point around 80 to 83. So the boiling point decrease right now. Boiling point decrease, evaporation rate shall increase. Both shall facilitate. Polarity is decreased, solvent is increasing, evaporating more earlier. So this advantage give us save over time, in fact. So I hope you have studied this crystallization technique. I am just going for a few readings here. In this simplest form, the crystallization process consists of number one, dissolving the impure substance in some suitable solvent or near the boiling point. Impure substance should be more soluble. Keeping in mind, this is also very important point of importance. If